Hello Vita, today's lecture. Your next paragraph. If the baby misses me too much tonight, send for me. I am going to my own house and you know where it is. Thank you, Hannah said smiling, but she told herself she would not send for Yummy. However, the baby cried. Yumi said to Hannah that if the baby missed her at night, she could call her. She further added that she was going to her own house and Hannah knew where her house was. Hannah smiled and thanked her for the offer, but to herself she said that in case the baby cried, she would not call for Yummy. Next paragraph. She made the breakfast and thou helped with the children. Neither of them spoke of the servants beyond the fact that they were gone, but after Hannah had taken morning food to the prisoner, she came back to Sudao. The next morning, Hannah prepared the breakfast and Sudao helped her by looking after the children. Neither of them talked regarding the servants, but after Hannah served the morning food to the prisoner of war, she came back to Sudao, probably to talk something. Next paragraph. Why is it we cannot see clearly what we ought to do? She asked him. Even the servants see more clearly than we do. Why are we different from other Japanese? Hana was very worried and she questioned that why they were not very clear about what they ought to do. She added that even their servants were very clear as compared to them, and she said that why were they behaving differently from other Japanese people? Hana wanted to say that as Americans were their enemies, they should not have treated that prisoner of war and they should have let him die just like any other Japanese would have done. Next paragraph. Sadao did not answer, but a little later he went into the room where the prisoner was and said brusquely, brusquely means quickly, today you may get up on your feet. I want you to stay up only 5 minutes at a time. Tomorrow you may try it twice as long. It would be well that you get back your strength as quickly as possible. Snow did not reply to Hannah, but after some time he went into the room where the prisoner of the war was resting and spoke very fast. She said that the man could get up and stand on his feet. Snow wanted him to stand only for 5 minutes at a time. Further, he added that the next day he could try to stand for double the time, that is 10 minutes. So thou also said that it would be good for everyone that the men regained strength as soon as possible. So thou hinted that they wanted to get rid of the American as early because he had become a cause of trouble for them. He saw the flicker of terror on the young face that was still very pale. Okay, the boy murmured. Evidently, he was determined to say more. I feel I ought to thank you, doctor, for having saved my life. Thou saw that. His words brought a hint of terror, a scare on the face of young boy. His face was still very pale and colorless because he was very weak. The boy spoke in a low voice and said, Okay. It appeared that he wanted to speak something more, but he just said that he wanted to thank Sdao for saving his life. Don't thank me too early, Sdao said coldly. He saw the flicker of terror again in the boy's eyes, terror as unmistakable as an animal's. The skirts on his neck was crimson. Crimson means bright red color. For a moment, those skirts, what were they? Sadao did not ask. Sadao was very expressionless when he said that the boy did not need to thank him yet. As he spoke this, he saw that the hint of skirt again appeared in the boy's eyes. The writer compares the boy's terrorized eyes to that of a scared animal. The injury marks on the neck of the boy turned a bright red in color for a while. Snow thought that what has caused those injury marks, but he did not ask the boy about them. Your next paragraph. In the afternoon, the second thing happened. Hannah, working hard on the unaccustomed labor, saw a messenger come to the door in official uniform. His hands went weak and she could not draw her breath. The servants must have told already. She ran to Sdao, gasping, unable to utter a word. But by then, the messenger had simply followed her through the garden, and there he stood. She pointed at him helplessly. That day, the second incident happened. In the afternoon, Hannah was busy with the household work as the servant had left. All of a sudden, she had to perform all the work which she was not used to do. She was very tired. She saw that a messenger wearing official uniform and had come to the house. As she saw him, her hands went weak and she was unable to breathe. This was because she felt that the servant must have told the authorities that they were sheltering an enemy. Hannah ran up to Sadao and she was struggling to breathe. She was unable to speak, but that time the messenger also followed her through the garden and he stood in front of the Sadao. Hannah was helpless and she pointed her finger towards the messenger. Sadao looked up for his book. He was in his office, and the other partition of which was thrown open to the garden for the southern sunshine. Southern sunshine means the door of the office which opened into the garden faced the south direction. This means that the sunshine which entered the office was not direct and bright, instead, it was a shady sunshine. Okay. Snow was reading a book, and when he saw Hannah, he looked up. He was sitting in his office, which had partition in it. The part of the office beyond the partition opened into the garden and was full of shady sign. Oh, what is it? He asked the messenger, and then he rose, seeing the man's uniform. Thou asked the messenger the matter due to which he had visited them. When he saw that the messenger was wearing a uniform, he stood up as a mark of respect. You are to come to the palace, the man said. The old general is in pain again. The messenger said that Sada was supposed to accompany him to the palace. He added that the old general was suffering in pain and Sada was supposed to visit him and treat him as a doctor. Oh, Hannah breathed. Is that all the messengers exclaimed, "It is it now, enough, indeed it is." She replied, "I am very sorry." Upon hearing this, Hannah was relieved and she said, "Oh." With this, she took a deep breath and asked that, was that all for which the messenger had come? The messenger reacted and said all he could not understand that what else could it be for which he was supposed to visit the house. He asked that was that not enough? Did they want any other reason for him to visit them? Hannah was sorry for her reaction and said that the reason was enough for the messenger to visit them. She did not need any other reason for him to visit them. When Stow came to say goodbye, she was in the kitchen but doing nothing. The children were asleep and she sat merely resting for a moment, more exhausted from her fright than from work. As Thou had to accompany the messenger, he went to Hannah to say goodbye. Hannah was in the kitchen, but she was not doing anything. The children had gone to sleep, and Hannah was taking rest. She was more tired due to the scare in on seeing the messenger that she was from doing the household work. I thought they had come to arrest you, she said. Hannah said to Sudhav that she had thought that the messenger had come to arrest him. He gazed down into her anxious eyes. I must get rid of this man for your sake, he said in distress. Somehow I must get rid of him. Sudhav looked carefully at Hannah's anxious eyes. She was very sad and distressed, and he said that he must get rid of the man for her sake. He added that he had to get rid of the man by any means. So thou goes to see the journal. So thou went along with the messenger to visit the journal house. Of course, the journal said weakly, I understand fully, but that is because I once took a degree in Princeton, so few Japanese have. Indispensable means necessary. So thou narrated the entire story to the journal. The journal, who was very weak, said that he understood Sadao's position because he also studied in America at the Princeton University, but there were only a few Japanese who had studied in America. I care nothing for the man, Excellency, Sadao said, but having operated on him be such success. Yes, yes, the general said, it only makes me feel you more indispensable